Sorry if I sound sick or anything. It's because I am, and I just came back from the movie theaters, and there was like 5 people in front of me, and they were all sneezing. I'm like, I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you. Long shot. This is a new Seth Rogen movie that, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot was even coming out. Which sounds terrible because I personally love Seth Rogen. I love all of his comedies. I personally love This Is the End. Neighbors 1 and 2 I enjoy very much. I mean, the man is he just makes really good comedies, and I really like him. He is this generation's or this decade's Adam Sandler, because Adam Sandler was the 90s, and then 2000s was a kind of an Adam McKay, Will Ferrell kind of generation, Italian Nice Type Brothers, and the 2010s have really been Seth Rogen, Dan McBride, and a bunch of those guys making movies, and they've been all pretty great if you ask me, except for like Your Highness and stuff. But now we got this movie, and this movie is basically about Seth Rogen, who's a journalist. He's been left off. He's quitting the journalist place that he used to work at because of certain reasons. And so he goes and he meets up with his friend, who's Ice Cube's son, and then they run into Charlize Theron, who is the Secretary of State, who is going to run for president in 2020. As the first female president, and he becomes her writer for speeches and stuff. Obviously, they start building a relationship and a kind of a romance movie. It turns to a romance movie with Seth Rogen comedy, and it's also like 2 hours long, and then we have our movie. So, again, I totally thought this movie was coming out. I was like, oh, a Seth Rogen comedy, great. And then I found out it was a romance movie. I was like, oh, so let's see how this goes. Because if you look at the whole like lineup of the movies they've made good comedies, but not really a romance movie. But like Neighbors, there was great romance between Seth Rogen and obviously the wife, who's blanking my name right now, but the girl from Bridesmaids. And so I was like, okay, so maybe this will be good. The movie's also 2 hours long, which I was like, wow, is this directed by Judd Apatow? And so I sat and watched it, and my gosh, did I not have a great time. I had a fantastic time. First things first, Charlize Theron is seriously the best actress working today. She can do anything. She can literally do anything. I mean, for crying out, 4 years ago, she was Mad Max, and she stole that movie, and she was amazing. 4 years later, she's in this movie. She's beautiful, and she's so gosh darn funny, and she's just a great actress. She was having a blast in this movie, and you could tell. And her chemistry between Seth Rogen is literally, it's magic movie gold. Like, this is like the perfect romance comedy between these two. Their chemistry was off the charts so good. Like, I mean, like, if this movie could get enough buzz, because it has like a 90% Rotten Tomatoes, if everyone just goes sees it, it makes money, and it becomes a cult following, this movie could become a famous romance comedy years from now. And what makes this movie more different to me, honestly, is she's the Secretary of State. She's always busy. She's always doing something. She's missing out on life. And Seth Rogen comes in, he has to learn about her, to write speeches down, and he brings the life out of her. He brings the actual person out of her who cusses and likes to smoke and takes Molly and all this kind of stuff. But really, she wants to be the president. She wants to do this, but she also wants to save the earth by doing this green kind of thing, what she's advertising, and Seth Rogen wants to help her. But apparently the president is, she does this, things are going to happen where she can't become the president, so there's obviously conflict. And the movie deals with like Democrats and Republicans, and heck, even deals with like Jews and Christians and all that kind of stuff. So the movie can get a little political at times, and people might be offended by that. Me personally, I don't give a shit. But it is what it is. But I did enjoy the movie. I thought it was really funny. I laughed throughout the entire movie. I mean, it's a Seth Rogen comedy. It has your Seth Rogen jokes, whatever. And me personally, I enjoyed that stuff. So I was having a blast every time. Seth Rogen's performance is actually perfect. So, like I said, Charlize Theron, she is amazing in this movie. She's so good. The chemistry is great. The dialogue is so good in this movie. And it's done by a first-time director. But again, my only issues are, I would say the movie didn't need to be 2 hours long. It's like 2 hours and like 5 minutes. So there is a lot in this movie to deal with, and it does feel like sometimes a little drag on. Some jokes obviously don't land. It is a little cliche and a little predictable. But again, what makes it different from another romantic comedy is she's Secretary of State, and there's certain issues that they deal with and talk about that I really liked. And again, the dialogue was really crisp. It was I like crisp dialogue movies. It reminds me of Quentin Tarantino movies, but this movie was a romance movie with Seth Rogen comedy mixed in. It just mixed together perfectly. That's why I feel like this movie become a cult following, a cult classic movie one day, a really good one. Just it's a different romance movie. It's got Seth Rogen comedy. It's got good romance, and it's really good. And my God, before I finish this review, which brother was it? I think it's Alexander Skarsgård. He is a Canadian guy in this movie, and he is amazing in this role. And there's a cameo. I had no idea this movie was coming out. There's a certain actor in this movie that I had no idea this actor was in this movie. He's in a small role, but when I saw him, I was like, is that? And I was like, oh my God, that is. And he is amazing in this role. When you see it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're a movie buff and you know certain actors and stuff like that, there's a certain actor in this movie with a lot of makeup on, you're like, that's that guy. And I'm like, that's amazing. Like I said, this movie can become a cult classic if it just gets enough box office, enough talk, and I'm going to give Long Shot a big A-. Really surprised by this. Again, I totally forgot this movie was even coming out this weekend, and I went and saw it, and man, I had a great time. I definitely wouldn't mind go seeing it again if I can get a date, you know. I could totally get a date and go see it again, because I enjoyed it a lot. Anyway, guys, if you guys enjoyed this review, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye, guys.